Oi, hell everybody. I'm gonna take that. I am Snow. Welcome back to another one of my art videos, which this one's gonna be a little different from the other ones that I usually post on my channel. This platform, for the most part, actually I do mostly do tutorials, which I have actually deviated from, but this will be one on mostly story writing, comic making, manga writing kind of stuff. I don't think manga writing is a term, but oh well. So, what is a comic? I think that's a simple question. You got a panel here, you got another panel here, smiley face, frowny face. You got a comic, kind of. Oh, a speech bubble. No, that's a comic. However, what does this lack? Okay. Well, for one thing, it lacks a story. So, how do we implement a story into this? Well, first things first, scratch this. You don't want that. That is not good material. What you want to do is something a little different. Maybe, let's say, you want to draw a picture. This is a picture, a smiley face. Let's show a little bit more detail on the smiley face. Hello. Now, let's draw kind of a detailed little smiley face. That is, let's say, is saying hello to this picture of maybe Mona Lisa or something. That is the worst picture of Mona Lisa ever, but let's pretend that it's the most amazing picture of Mona Lisa ever. This could be a story, but it's not just a story. You could probably take a picture in cinema of this black and white image that looks like it came from the 60s, put some speech bubbles on it, and well, and that still wouldn't be a story, because there just has to be like something coming in here, like some sort of transition from one thing to another. So let's say there's some other people with some poorly drawn hair and some amazing spiky hair. Love that spiky hair. And maybe this is a story. I can easily say that this person said hello, and then these people threw rocks at him because he said hello to a picture. Who does that? But if I didn't say that to another person, if I didn't tell them like what's happening here, and then just showed them the picture, would they just say, "Oh, hello there. What is going on here?" They'd probably ask you like how that happened here. Then you could probably tell them. But like the fact that they asked the question at all is the big problem here. This isn't a story. This is just a person saying hello to a picture. The smiley face just on the the smiley face just randomly being here, and these three heads. Maybe, I don't know, worshipping this random head that is saying hello to this Mona Lisa picture that is poorly drawn. Or, I'm sorry, amazingly drawn. And of course, with some hair on this guy. But no. Let's say this is the 10th panel to a bigger story. Let's draw a panel here. Let's say on the 5th panel we have established the people of this world, of this country, of this city, the people of this location. will throw rocks at you if you so much as say hello to a Mona Lisa picture. Or better yet, if you say hello to a picture, then you get rocks thrown at you by law. That would make an interesting premise, now would it? Because maybe this person becomes the protagonist and a hero of everything. Like, this person becomes Batman because he got rocks thrown at him. Because you just said hello to a Mona Lisa. But then, what's this? On panel 15, 5 panels after this event, 10 panels after 10 panels after the exposition here, we add more exposition and say that it's not just saying hello to a picture. This person spoke English. These people do not like it when people speak English. So when you speak English, you get rocks thrown at you. Oh no. That's a plot twist if I've ever seen one. So now you gotta ask yourself, what comes after this? How does this happen? What comes before panel 10 and panel 15? Or even panel 10 and 5? Well, let's say that he read the ultimate poneglyph of... No, I don't want to say poneglyph. Like he read a book of something. The book of everything that basically says... Well, this. He wanted to read a book. A bunch of rocks started get thrown at him again. And, well, the book said, if you speak English here, and let's say this is speaking in Spanish, if you speak English here, you get rocks thrown at you. So, after panel 15, let's say in panel 20, by everything between panel 15 and 20, he starts getting on a boat. And by panel 20, he's moving to another country. Where, if he says aloha, then fire arrows start getting shot at him. Maybe he moves to another country, but by the time he even gets to another country, he gets to the Bermuda Triangle, to a place where if he says anything aside from hello or aloha, then he gets meteors thrown at him. This would be a weird premise. But again, let's pretend that it's not a weird premise, and let's just say that this is the masterpiece of a lifetime, and that this Mona Lisa is amazing. But that's besides the point. Who cares about my Mona Lisa? What I care more about is that I am encapsulated in this amazing story of a guy who got caught in the Bermuda Triangle, all because he got stuff thrown at him for saying hello in different languages. At first, it was just because he thought he was saying hello to a picture. But then he finds out that was because he was speaking English, so he moved to a different country. So he does a bunch of different stuff because he finds out that, all this bad stuff is happening because of something he's doing. So how does something like this become something like this? Well, first of all, this is just something I pulled out of thin air, just to give an example of the story. This is on a statistical standpoint of giving good examples. This is not a good story. This is bad art. This is... Dang it. This is random story coming out of nowhere. So then you ask yourself, what makes a good story? Can I make a good story? And so that's when you got my pencil back. That's when you have to ask yourself all the questions. But there's a lot of questions to ask, and ultimately there's probably, before you even ask too many questions, you have to start answering them eventually. Of course, there's the art aspect. Art takes practice. You can go from this, yay, to something detailed, which I don't want to waste too much time on with a story writing tutorial, but let's say, yay, muscles. Yay. Huh, I found out how to recreate a drawing from never mind. From when I was 5 years old. Anyway. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm having too much fun with this, but I probably shouldn't be. So if you want to write a good story, there are a lot of ways to do that. First off, of course, there's the whole aspect of what do you want your premise to be? Like, what do you want everything to be between panel 1 and 5 to where you establish, hey, panel 5, if you say hello to a Mona Lisa or to a picture, then you get rocks thrown at you. Panel 10, you say hello to a Mona Lisa. Panel 6, you get rocks thrown at you. By panel 10, well, wait, no, that's panel 10, sorry. By panel 15, then you understand that it's not because you said hello to a Mona Lisa, it's because you said hello in English, because you spoke English. So you got to understand where everything stands, but you also got to understand where these things stand before you even write it down, before you write it down on the panels. And a good way to do this is with stuff like Google Docs or other apps on like Android or iPhone. I'm guessing there's good apps on iPhone. I've never used an iPhone, so I don't know that. But I do have a trusty Android tablet where I can show you. I'm currently using a different device to record this, so I'm glad I have this. But something I'm even more glad of having is Google Docs, where I can script, and I also have good knowledge of how to script and stuff like that. There are good tips on how to script from like actual authors who like know what they're doing because they have done it before. They've probably been doing it for years. So I would recommend checking those guys out, especially White Manga. He's among the best that I can recommend. But there are plenty out there, like Jero CD, stuff like that. People like that. I'd like to be called Stuff someday. That would be weird. But speaking of stuff, some really good stuff is scripting. How do you want to script? Well, of course, I got the name of my comic here. I have established everything that I want to do with the script. This is how I want the speech bubbles to look like, the sagas, the segments of each part of my story. It's going to be a long one, so I got to know what I'm doing in between the beginning and the end. And every segment has a beginning and an end, and then a transition into the beginning of the next segment. And then I have like chapter 1. I haven't yet finished chapter 1 of my story yet with scripting. Though even if I have finished in chapter 1 of the story, there's also the fact that I don't have a decent amount of resources to actually make my manga, to make my comic. Or I mean, technically I could still call it a manga, even though it's not Japanese, but it's fun. I like calling it manga. But if we look at other like actual Japanese manga, though, there's a good chance that you'll see like that you could ask them which maybe unlikely because they're probably busy, making manga. But it's likely that they'll probably be scripting. Same as always. But then there's also the resources they have. They have really good inking tools that they need to to ink their manga, make it look classy. And then of course, what will they do? How will they do it? How do you make a straight line? Do you need a ruler? Because I don't know about you, but this doesn't look like a straight line. Here, let's try this again. Nope, can't do it. Yep, it's you make a circle. Here, let's not making this very easy. That's a perfect circle in my eyes. No, you gotta have stuff like, I don't know, jar lids that you can press against this and then not tip over my stand, and then just trace from there. Get a roller. I do have rollers, which I'd have to reach for, which is just more trouble than it's worth, but I'm sure you know what a roller looks like. But there's even more aspects to it. Aside from the whole story writing aspect, there's also influences, and not just other artists. Let's switch over to One Piece and of course some American stuff as well, like this lovely book, which I do have to reach for. I know it's a little counterintuitive, but Warriors. This is not a manga or a comic. This is a novel. However, despite it, and it does actually have a variant that is called a manga. Same with One Piece, that actually has a novel added into it, or a spin-off, more or less. There's not really much of a difference here. I mean, both of them are two completely different stories. One's about cats. So, although both of them are long ongoing series that have been going on for quite a while. I mean, One Piece has been going on for way longer. Warriors has been going on for about as long as I was born, a little bit longer. Although One Piece has been going on since 1997, longer than either of my siblings have been born, which they're old people. We're all old people. Anyway, though, there's a lot of major differences. You can add a lot more lore and storytelling into a novel because you can add a lot more words into pages here. You can add a lot more stuff into these pages without the illustrations. Although at a cost, you kind of gotta make sure that you've gotta add the expressions through the words. You don't need to do that with comics, as you can just draw the expressions and just say gasp. There we go. With a novel, you usually see something like, and then he gasped, and stuff like that. Or better yet, he gasped with the willow of the ocean, which is definitely not not something you'd see from a good author of a novel. But you can definitely see that there's a difference there. There's a gasp here. There's a lot more detail through the words in there. However, there's more differences as well. Again, you can add more to a chapter in 20 pages with a novel, whereas within 20 pages of a comic, you can't add nearly as much per page. However, you have the brilliant sensation of seeing that punch when it connects to the face. No is not something you say when you get punched in the face, but it happens sometimes. But that's usually a good way to see it. Like you got novels, you got comics. Overall, it all takes good story writing and perspective. And whether you're good at drawing a Mona Lisa, whether you understand that this comes before this, and you gotta understand that like this needs to be said before this needs to be said before this can happen. So, which is the basic gist of it. Now then, last thing I want to say here is something you've probably learned in, like, I don't know, literature class, which I guess is what this could be described as, literature class. There's a beginning and an end. But there's more to it than that. You gotta have stuff in between. You can't just say, oh no, Sasuke is a jerk, and then, oh no, I'm going to save you, Sasuke, and you save him. Except, like, you can say, I can save you, Sasuke, somewhere in the middle. Like, and stuff like that. You got a timeline here, and you gotta implement a lot of middles. And not only that, other stories within these middles. And most importantly, the length of your story usually depends on its popularity. It sometimes kind of just has to end at some point. If you don't know how it ends, it's going to be a bit of trouble. You got to understand where the beginning is and how the beginning is going to influence where the ending is, which could actually be shown as foreshadowing, which is good. Foreshadowing is good. But there's a difference with the length of a story. Sometimes you can overexert a story, even though ultimately, like, it can still be really good. You can still make a really good story, even though it's like really long. However, does it mean that this has to be the ending? Could there be a sequel? Yes, there could. But it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of mental effort to, like, implement all of this. But to not only continue on through the ending, but to make a new experience. You don't want the same experience, because, I mean, why not just go through all this again? But then there's back to the length. How long do you want it to be? How long do you want this to be? How long do you want this to be? Maybe the sequel will be longer or shorter. Ultimately, it's based on popularity. Or, I don't know, sometimes. What I'm mostly referring to is that the beginning could be popular. You could be popular before you even start the beginning off. If you want to, I don't know, establish that, like, as a nothing, like nobody knows you. Let's say nobody knows you. And you start here. You make your first chapter of your comic, of your story, but like then nobody reads it. Like maybe you post it on Webtoon, but like you also got to understand that a lot of people post stuff on Webtoon. It's going to get buried somewhere. Best thing to do here is use social media. Social media is actually a really good way to use it. Like even if Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter has a bunch of toxicity on it, I agree with you. There's a lot of toxicity on it. It's actually really good. It's good parts. And there's also that too. Your story's going to have its good parts. It's going to have its bad parts. Every story does, ultimately. So, just understand that. And do keep in mind, if you want to make a sequel, don't make your story as if it's going to make a sequel, but do make sure that it's prepared for a sequel if you want to have one. Or if you don't want it to have a sequel at all, don't do that. But do maybe like leave some stuff for like outer stories or like backstories from before where the beginning had. But aside from that, I think that's all I have to say here. This is definitely a longer video than what I usually do. And I did ramble on for a little bit more than I should have. But I hope I got the point across either way. So, I am Snow, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.